All right, Aquamarine Sprout's been in the shop for a couple of days now. I finally picked this skin up, and today we're going to see how good this skin actually is. All right, let's get into it. All right, kicking things off with the appearance of Aquamarine Sprout, I'm going to draw attention to the color palette at the start because I think it's one of my favorite things about the skin. I really love this color palette. I really like the shade of blue they picked, which is the primary color of it, and then there's accents of green and pink on it as well, and I think that the neon green and the neon pink really match this baby blue that they picked, so I think it's a great color palette overall. At the top of Sprout's head, he's going to be rocking some headphones. They're going to be mostly blue, again, with the green and pink accents. It's got a giant pink fin at the top. I don't really know what the fin is supposed to represent here, but it does look okay. I do like the contrast of it, and I think the thing I really like the most about these headsets are the little squids on the side. Again, this is a Splatoon themed skin, and that's going to be a reference to Splatoon as well. Sprout's sticky note face has been replaced with a full monitor, but it's still going to display his normal face. You know, it's going to be doing his winking and his smiling like he usually does. I really like this change, and I do like that the monitor actually displays it as pink instead of blue, because if it was blue, it wouldn't really look that well, and it would kind of remind me of 8-bit a lot, so I kind of like that this sticks out distinctly. All right, moving on to Sprout's main body here. I'm not gonna lie, kind of having a hard time describing what this main body looks like. Kind of just reminds me of a typical robot body that you'd see in like any TV show or anything. So really nothing remarkable. But one thing I do like is that the paint is kind of splattered throughout, so it does kind of make it look like paint was spilled on him, or he was in a paintball fight or something like that. Again, another Splatoon reference there. Moving on to Sprout's arms, they've actually changed his arms into cannons rather than just normal grippers like they are on the base Sprout skin. This is a nice touch because when you actually play Sprout in a match, he's going to shoot out paint bombs, and the paint bombs are actually supplied by the tank on his back. So I like that touch that it kind of incorporated Sprout's ammo into his actual character model here, so I think that's really cool. And finally, we're going to talk about Sprout's legs here. They have replaced his wheels with squid tentacles, and they have little pink suction cups on the bottom of them. I do like this touch because, again, it is another Splatoon reference, kind of gives you a squid vibe here. Although, I don't know if it was 100% necessary because he is kind of just a robot here. It doesn't really matter if he has wheels or not, but it is a nice touch in my opinion. It does add a little pizzazz to the skin. So I legitimately have no real complaints about the skin. I really like everything overall. Like I said, I really like the color palette. I really love that shade of blue that they picked, and then all the other colors complement it very well. So big fan of that right there. I actually really like how they kind of reworked Sprout into being just a full robot here. There's really no plant references, so I do kind of like that. You may not like that because it is kind of against the spirit of the brawler, so if you don't like that, that's totally up to you. But I think they nailed it here. I think they made him an underwater robot, and it looks really cool in my opinion. And like I said many times, I am a big fan of these Splatoon theme skins, and I think they did probably the best job with Sprout here. They did a lot of references here. There's paint splattered throughout him. He's got the little stickers on his headphones and on his chest, as well as having tentacles for legs, and he's got the paint tank on the back of him for his ammo. So I think that's really cool overall, and I think they did a great job, and I love the way this skin looks. All right, moving on to Sprout's animations. Now, for his winning animation, he's going to walk forward happily, then he's going to slide to the side doing a little bit of a dance. Then he does a spin where some fish come out of him, and then they do a little swim around him. Then he finishes by winking and standing there happily. For Sprout's losing animation, he's going to stare at the ground sadly. Then his screen is going to flash into a frown, and then he's going to jump up with an angry face, and then he's going to swim away quickly. Finally, we found a skin that has two really good animations. This is great, and it's what all skins should strive to be like, in my opinion. The winning animation actually has a lot of personality, and it's very fun to watch. And the losing animation isn't the brawler just sadly staring at the ground. He actually gets really upset and runs away, which, again, I think is a lot of fun, and there's actually a payoff to watching it. So for me, these animations are a big W. I love that both of them actually had some effort put into it, and finally a good payoff here. All right, now we're moving on to effects. Now, this skin is just an epic skin, so there's no sound effects. That's normal for most skins of this rarity. But if you want to count it, he does have a unique walking animation because he has tentacles for feet rather than just wheels or floating like some of his other skins. But focusing on the actual important stuff, for Sprout's main attack, he's going to throw out a bomb that actually looks like a squid. As it bounces, it's actually going to leave behind some paint splatters and a couple of bubbles as well. Then it's going to explode, leaving much more paint on the ground, and there's going to be bubbles in the area where it exploded as well. For Sprout Super, his walls are actually going to become big old chunks of coral. They're going to be mostly blue with some green and pink accents on them. While it's sitting there, there's going to be some bubbles coming out of the coral, as well as fish swimming around the coral. Then when it leaves, there's going to be a bunch of bubbles that appear and pop after a second or two. Last thing to note, hypercharges are going to override both the main attack and the super's actual effects, so that is a bit unfortunate here. But overall, I think the effects on the skin are pretty good. They're not the best that I've ever seen, but they are pretty solid. The main attack is to be expected because it is a Splatoon themed skin, so of course he's going to throw up bombs that leave paint behind. But there is a little bit of flair there with the paint and the bubbles that pop out as the bomb is bouncing across the ground. I'm not going to lie, I really like the way the super looks. I think that making it into coral instead of it just being like a plant wall or whatever was a great idea, and I think it works for the skin super well. And then instead of it just sitting there for the whole duration, they actually added some stuff like the bubbles coming out of it and the fish swimming around it, and I think those are really nice touches to what could be a rather boring super, if I'm being totally honest. The only thing that really sucks is that the hypercharge overrides the effects of the skin. Every time this happens, I'm gonna complain about it. I know it's not really that big of a deal because hypercharges only last for a second, but it is something that shouldn't happen in my opinion, so I am gonna complain about it whenever it does happen. Alright, so now we're gonna talk about whether this skin is actually worth buying. Now, this is an epic skin, so you can get it for either 149 gems, or in a couple of days, you should be able to buy it for 5,000 bling. Is it actually worth buying? Should you pick this skin up? Alright, so taking a look at the skin rarity chart, it does check all these boxes here. It does come with a custom brawler model. It does have the custom animations, and both of them actually work. It does have the custom effects, and it does come with a pin and a player icon. I'll flash those on screen for you right now. And like I said earlier, if you want to give it bonus points, it does also have technically a custom walking animation, if you want to count that. Some people do, some people don't, but I want to throw that in here if you want to give it extra bonus points for that. So do I think this skin is worth buying? Absolutely. I think this is a great skin. Not gonna lie, when I saw it in Brawl Talk originally, I thought it was gonna be a legendary skin, and I was a little upset about that. Then, come to find out, it's actually just an epic skin, and if you want, you can get it for bling. So, that's an absolute steal in my opinion. Like I said a couple of times now, the brawler model looks absolutely great. I really like the color palette, and it's actually what made me think it was going to be a legendary skin to begin with. And the fact that it's just an epic and it looks better than some of the legendary skins in the game is an absolute steal in my opinion. Then on top of that, both of the animations are actually animated. It's not just like, a lot of work went into the winning animation, and the losing animation is just the brawler staring at the ground or falling on the ground or whatever. There's actually like, a build up and a payoff on the losing animation. So both animations are like phenomenal in my opinion. And then the effects overall are pretty solid. It might be the weakest part of the skin, but that's not saying a lot because the other parts of the skin are absolutely great. The main attack is a little bit basic, if I'm being totally honest. He throws out a bomb, it bounces a couple times, and then it explodes and leaves paint on the ground. But there is a bit of flair there. It does look like a squid, so that's cool. And then there's bubbles and paint while it bounces, and then it explodes, leaving more paint and more bubbles on the ground. So it's not like totally phoned in. I've seen a lot worse effects on skins, and the super is actually really cool in my opinion. They could have really phoned it in and made it very boring, but they added the things like the bubbles and the fish swimming around the coral while it sits there. And like I said, Sprout super could be extremely boring, but they did add a little bit of pizzazz to it, so I do give it bonus points for that. So this skin does everything at least pretty good, and some of the things are very great on it. Like I said, the appearance is amazing, the animations are very good, and the effects are overall pretty solid. So in my opinion, this is an absolute steal of a skin. Like I said, I think it probably should have been a mythic or a legendary skin. I was expecting it to be legendary, if I'm totally honest. So it being just epic is an absolute steal in my opinion. But what do you think? I did show you everything about this skin, so you can let me know what you think about this skin down in the comments. Let me know if you're gonna buy it. Let me know if you enjoyed this review, and let me know, like I said, what you think about this skin. But that's going to do it today. If you enjoyed my rambling, make sure you leave a like on the video, and if you're new, consider dropping a sub as well. But that's going to do it for today. Want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.